right, there you are. You're right. Happy Saturday. You look lovely. I like what you've done with your hair. It's Tom and Sam again for a Saturday. Double Saturday
Double
news
whammy
video.
Saturday with you. This is new. This is interesting.
This is exciting. This is fresh. This is wrestling news. We have the reported reason for those NXT releases from last night. We'll get to that in a moment. Vince McMahon has called an emergency meeting with Adam Cole, and there was a big return on last night's episode of SmackDown, which we'll get to in a bit. By now, you may have seen our first news video, which featured all of those let go from WWE last night. It was late into the wee hours of the morning here in the UK that WWE Future endeavoured a whole number of stars from the NXT side of things, and some detail has come to light on the reported reason for why this round of cuts has taken place. What do we know, Sam?
So after Sean Ross Sapp broke the news of the releases online, Mike Johnson of PW Insider went into a little bit more detail about what he's heard surrounding this set of releases. So on the We Don't Need No Name show this week, he and Dave Scherer discussed rumblings of internal talks from WWE that suggest NXT's about to get a new logo, new lighting, a new focus on younger talent, and an overall different format for the TV show itself. Now, apparently the releases were part of this rumoured change, and they may have been released because the company doesn't feel they fit in with the overall idea or where they want to take NXT in future. That seems to be the gist of the report. Mike Johnson kind of echoed the releases in his update, and then he kind of went at the bottom. He's like, well, we did talk about this earlier in the week, that there's all these rumours, so it could be linked to that.
A new look, a new feel, new format for the show. Is it going to be a game show again?
The thing that
we are wild and young.
But when I read this, I kind of, my brain kind of went off a little bit, and I realised that NXT is quite far removed from when you look back at like FCW. Like there was obviously a lot younger talent in these environments, whereas NXT's kind of grown into its own beast, and maybe that might be why the company's a bit like, well, no, we need it to be more developmental, pal.
And I think that's the right way to be. Like NXT, like it was always good. That was what it was always planned to be. Its name means next.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, it's just grown to a point where I think it is almost its own brand, but they keep going, it's developmental. And it's like, okay, well, if you're seeing NXT as its own brand, then just don't kill NXT off, keep NXT going, keep all the talent, and start a new developmental. That's what I figured they'd do.
Oh, an NXT for NXT.
Yeah, but it looks and it seems like
we're
kind of going back down to more like, okay, let's bring in all these 18-year-olds off the indies, let's bring in all, like, get real people they can, like, get people they can really, like, train up, I guess, in the WWE way. But at the same time, they've never not just hired young people, so developmental's always had a kind of I think ranged, kind of age group.
But you have to think about how much NXT has changed in the last 2 years, because it went up against Dynamite. So WWE bolstered that show to make it more than a developmental, to kind of change the impression, to make it a third brand, a third roster show. That's why it won at Survivor Series.
And now they're like sat there going, but now they're sat there going like, no, we didn't.
Yeah, of course. We don't recall all this. But then, because now it's not up against Dynamite. Yeah. So now they're going, oh no, it's a developmental show. So now they're not up. Now there isn't that challenge against a competing show. They will just move it back to what it should have been in the first place, and what it's always kind of been, which is a place where younger guys can come in and get their head around characters and development stuff, so they can be squandered on the main roster. Yeah, that's cynicism for another time.
It just feels like they're taking maybe the heart and soul of it out and making it more of a conveyor belt. But at the same time, it could also mean, if they're looking to rebrand it and give it new lighting and like an all new look and feel and format, it could mean that they're going to just kind of drive it into a more in-ring focused thing. It could mean a multitude of things. It could mean they're actually doubling down and trying to invest as much as they can in it, but at the same time, you can't really be doing that while releasing people. I don't know. We're just going to have to wait and see, but it's interesting at least to see that they do have some plans for NXT. It's just worrying what those plans may turn out to be?
I have to say, I'm glad that there's a new look, a new aesthetic coming from NXT, because I don't like that weird angel skeleton logo that they're using. I don't get it.
They got the
NXT, and then they got like a skull and like bones of wing bones and stuff.
Yeah, it should just be NXT. But it needs to be simple and clean, and it needs to fit on a pen. That's what one of my mates who went to Chelsea Art School said about logo design.
Is it simple? Is it clean? Does it fit on a pen? A pen that may have been signing a very important contract in Vince McMahon's office last night.
Oh yes.
So on SmackDown, we heard some rumours that behind the scenes there was lots coming out of SmackDown, which we'll get to in a little bit, but. From backstage, there was a high-powered meeting involving Vince McMahon and a guy that's been talked about quite a lot this week, Adam Cole.
Really? Adam Cole?
Adam Cole,
not
really?
Heard his name in years.
Fightful Select reporting that Adam Cole was backstage at SmackDown to meet with Vince McMahon. This comes hot off the heels of news that Cole is wrestling as a free agent and the now debunked Meltzer scalp that AEW had offered him a contract. Cole is a fixture of NXT, and the company is said to be very respectful of him, and a big contract offer could be his way from Vince McMahon.
That's what I figured when I was writing the notes. I was like, if Vince is bringing him into SmackDown to sit him down in a high-level meeting, and literally being described as high-level to the report, you've got to imagine there's some big plans in place there.
Yeah, they're obviously keen. Like Triple H is somebody who I think has said many times. I agree. Triple H is really high on him as well. So I reckon Triple H is because I just think my thinking is I think Vince McMahon probably wouldn't see a star in Adam Cole. Knowing what I know of Vince McMahon, he would almost think there needs to be a gimmick here. He likes games. Let's make him computer game man.
But if he just kind of squints and pretends it's the 90s again, he can pretend it's Sean and just be like, go out there, Sean, and Adam Cole.
He's not short. He's far away.
He can be like, yeah, I'll go out there and do it, Vince. Yeah, I'll go out and beat up Razor Ramon, and we'll just pretend. And we'll just pretend for Vince that he's Sean.
I hope Adam Cole gets as much money as he can and has the most fun he can
Absolutely.
Have. Wherever that ends up being.
That's all that he can ask for is a good contract that he's happy with at whichever company he would like to work at.
Loads happening around SmackDown before the cameras went on. And no cameras were allowed on from the crowd either. This was a fun little tidbit. Ooh. A nice little picture of John Cena from WWE on the WWE Twitter, like doing all this. And it's like, SmackDown tonight, don't take any photos or we will kick you out of the building. They were really anti people taking photographs and videos on SmackDown last night.
I get videos, videos is something that they control usually at live events. If you're sat there filming matches, people record house shows sometimes.
Yeah.
You get caught, you'll be, told off. If you keep filming, you'll be ejected from the venue. That's just been something that's been around since video cameras started popping up in, like concerts in the 80s and stuff. It's just like, get out. You're not here to film it. You've paid for a ticket to enjoy it. I
also quite like back watching old shows when nobody's like when someone fights in the crowd now in 2021,
all you see is just lights,
phones, camera phones.
Yeah.
You didn't get that in my day.
Not back in my day.
You had one person in the front of WrestleMania 6 with a disposable camera, and those photos are mega blurry of like Hogan slapping somebody.
But this is the thing. It's like in the age we live in now, I think so long as somebody's not recording for minutes at a time. And recording full matches or full promos, let them record. Like, what's the issue here? Why can't they record? I get, maybe tell the people who are sat around, or sit families or media around like the hard cam area, or just box it off because you don't want people seeing that all of the stuff that's coming up next. I mean, there are people that just film over the back of them, but Christ, that's
I tell you who doesn't like filming at their concerts, Don Henley.
Really?
I went to see him years ago in Wembley, and it was with the Eagles, and it was just like, he did this thing where he said, I don't want to see people filming and putting this on the internet or anything like that. It really kills our vibe, so do not film
This is it. It's like
Desperado.
Neutral Milk Hotel. You couldn't get into their last run of gigs over here if you had a phone on you. You had to leave from outside. You weren't allowed to film. You weren't allowed to. So it does work in some settings, but I think when you're in a massive arena watching wrestling and you just want to get a couple of quick snaps and a little bit of, a slam for Twitter and be like, hey, I'm at SmackDown. You don't want to get DMCA'd as, like Alan from Indiana you know, who's just kind of sat there trying to have a nice night and show his friends what he's watching.
It is not fun to stay at the DCMA. One naughty fan did take some pictures last night, though. I see you at Jeff Reed up, who took some blurry photos of Keith Lee slamming Austin Theory in a dark match. So we had a few NXT guys and an Raw guy doing the dark match thing. It was Keith Lee and Austin Theory fighting each other, and Dakota Kai made her debut on SmackDown via a dark match, beating Aaliyah. So that's really interesting that those people are there.
I think, you know, as we've said, it seems that every single time, which is why I'm surprised Adam Cole didn't rock up last night on SmackDown, because every single time it feels now that any NXT talent are backstage, it's just like, get in a dark match, get out there. Did they cheer? Right, you're on SmackDown next week.
You're on SmackDown, pal. So there's a few names floating around there. I wonder whether, because this kind of leads into what we were talking about earlier with the whole thing of NXT is changing shape. There's a few guys in NXT that maybe probably don't fit what their plans are, so they're trying them out on the main roster pretty quickly. Like Dakota Kai may not fit into that, so they're trying her out. So rather than binning them off,
you've always got to kind of tweak people as you bring them up to the main roster, because it is kind of a more showy, kind of cartoony style, I'd argue, compared to NXT, but
but on camera there was a nice return. A popular star made their return last night.
There was indeed, and oh my God, Montez Ford is back. Montez Ford returned to TV on SmackDown after briefly being out of action due to injury. He was teaming with Angelo Dawkins, of course, to beat Robert Roode. And guess who? Guess who, Tom? I've not been great in SmackDown for months now. Guess who that
is? It No Zig Zig? Yeah.
I genuinely think they were the opening match on the last SmackDown I graded, and that was about 8 weeks into them doing that every week.
WWE should hire more wrestlers.
They should, yeah.
But great to see Ford back. I've said this before. Honestly, I think Montez Ford could be WWE champion.
Oh
my days!
All day.
I would back that train.
The charisma alone.
He's just a beacon. He is a beacon. People get pulled into his gravitational pull. He is that big, and he's a great wrestler. He has a hell of a frog splash, and I say that with knowledge of Eddie Guerrero and Rob Van Dam.
It's like Ricochet at Wrestle Kingdom 9, I think it was. He goes for like the springboard, and he just disappears out the top of the frame. It's like whenever Montez Ford hits the splash, he's just like disappears out of frame.
May Montez get as high career-wise as he does on that.
Just to quickly note as well, he was out because on June 25th he'd undergone voluntary surgery. I know they went surgery. Voluntary surgery to fix a long-standing issue that he had. So he's got that all sorted, and now I guess it'll not be like bugging him anymore, and he can crack on.
Ford hype train all the way to the top. WWE champion. Make that a thing. Make that a thing. More news as we get it at cultaholic.com. The Cultaholic Wrestling Podcast is on your YouTube channel right now. And the Cultaholic Classic SmackDown review with Matthew Gregg and myself is on your podcast feed. Have a great weekend. Stay safe and love you. Bye.